The black Maybach glided smoothly toward City Hall, the chill of the leather seats seeping through my suit trousers, a perfect match for the aura of the woman beside me. I glanced over at Eleanor Vance. She was wearing a crisply tailored white blouse today, her long hair pulled back in a flawless chignon that exposed the elegant line of her swan-like neck. Sunlight streamed through the window, tracing a profile that was exquisite but glacial. Her long lashes, like tiny fans, concealed every flicker of emotion. In 2 years of marriage, this was the countless time I tried to read something, anything on her face. Even annoyance would have been something, but I failed every time. She was like a precision instrument running on a set program. Always calm, rational, and impenetrable. After we sign, the partnership between Davenport Industries and Vance Corp won't be affected. I'll have a legal team draft the supplemental agreement as soon as possible, I said, breaking the silence. My voice was as steady as if I were discussing the weather. Eleanor merely gave a slight nod, not even lifting her eyelids. Her cool voice was devoid of any ripple. Fine. There was again a flicker of some unidentifiable irritation sparked within me. 2 years ago, the Davenport and Vance families had arranged our marriage to consolidate New York's shipping resources, a union of titans. As the sole heir to the Davenport fortune and she the eldest daughter of the Vance dynasty, our marriage had been a business contract from day one. I was busy expanding our corporate empire. She was busy taking over her family's real estate division. We were more like partners sharing a roof than a husband and wife. Aside from mandatory family dinners and corporate events, we had almost zero interaction. Even in bed, it felt like completing a task. Her body was always tense, her gaze distant, her breathing perfectly even, as if she were performing delicate surgery. After a while, I lost any desire to even touch her. A marriage like this was a flavorless arrangement. Getting rid of it felt like no great loss. I turned my gaze back to the streetscape blurring past the window, mentally calculating how I'd reclaim the penthouse overlooking Central Park after the divorce. The view was excellent for getting work done. Just then, a soft, choked voice suddenly pierced my thoughts. What do I do? What do I do? He's really going to divorce me. Liam Davenport, you big idiot. You jerk. Why couldn't you just wait until I was a little braver? I froze, my head snapping toward Eleanor. She was still the picture of icy composure, her fingertips even tapping a steady rhythm on her knee as if contemplating a business decision. Was I hearing things? I've been to too many networking events lately. Probably just exhaustion. I frowned, about to write off the bizarre voice as a symptom of burnout, when it sounded again, this time thick with misery. 2 years. I thought you would have noticed something by now. I stood outside your study for so long every night, just hoping to say a single word to you. But you never even looked back at me. My heart felt like it had been seized by an invisible hand, a dull ache spreading through my chest. That voice, it was unmistakably Eleanor's, only 100 times softer, 100 times sweeter, with the pouting cadence of a young girl. But she was sitting right beside me, her lips pressed into a firm line, her breathing perfectly steady. Are you? I started to speak, wanting to ask if she felt all right. Eleanor finally looked at me, her eyes as clear and cold as a frozen lake. Is there a problem? He's talking to me. Is he having second thoughts? Aya, what do I do? What can I say to make him stop the divorce? Tell him I've liked him for a long time? No, that's way too humiliating. I could hear her thoughts. The internal screaming was in such stark contrast to the composure on her face. I looked into those clear, placid eyes and realized for the first time that I had never truly known this woman. The car slowed to a stop in front of City Hall. The driver respectfully opened the door. Eleanor picked up the alligator skin clutch from her lap, but just before she stood up, I heard her inner voice screaming frantically, "Don't get out of the car. Please, Liam, just give me one more chance. I don't want a divorce. I love you so much." Her movement hitched for a fraction of a second. On a bizarre impulse, I spoke. "Wait." Eleanor turned back, a flicker of confusion in her eyes. He stopped me. Did he change his mind? I looked at that small face, fighting to maintain its composure. My throat felt tight. I think, maybe we need to take some time to think about this. Eleanor's eyelashes trembled. After a few seconds, she let out a soft, "Okay." A cooling off period. It's a cooling off period, right? He didn't say he wouldn't divorce me, but he didn't say he had to. There's hope. Liam, you're the best. Sniffle. As she turned and settled back in her seat, I saw the tips of her ears turn a quiet shade of pink. Leaning back against the leather, I suddenly felt that this divorce, which had been a done deal, had just become a lot more interesting. This ice queen of a woman had such a rich inner life. When we returned to our nominal home, a sprawling estate in Greenwich, Connecticut. The housekeeper, Maria, had dinner ready. The long mahogany table was laden with exquisite dishes. Eleanor sat across from me, gracefully cutting into the steak on her plate. The clink of the knife and fork against the porcelain was as regular as a metronome. For 2 years, we had eaten dinner like this almost every night, with silence as the main course. On any other day, I would have used the time between bites to handle a few work messages. But tonight, my gaze kept drifting to the woman opposite me. She was wearing a cream-colored cashmere sweater that made her skin look even fairer. Under the warm light, a soft halo of fuzz was visible on her cheeks. Why does he keep looking at me today? Did he find out I secretly put sugar in his coffee this morning? Or did he realize I'm not actually very good with a knife and fork? I'm so nervous, so nervous. I raised an eyebrow. She always drank her coffee black with ice. So did I. So that faintly sweet cup I'd had this morning. That was her doing? I took a sip of red wine, my expression unchanged, and watched her put a small piece of steak in her mouth. Her cheeks puffed out slightly, like a little hamster hoarding food. Oh my God, he's still looking. Do I look awful when I eat? Eleanor, you have to be calm. Maintain the Ice Queen persona. Don't let him find out. She put down her silverware, picked up her napkin, and dabbed her lips with textbook precision. The company has a new project on the east side. Is Vance Corp interested in a partnership? I asked, feigning casualness. Eleanor looked up, her gaze sharpening back to her professional focus. Yes, we're currently assessing the risk. He's talking to me about work. Is he trying to smooth things over? This is great. I have to sound professional. Make him think I'm brilliant. Have your assistant send a copy of the risk assessment to my office tomorrow. Of course. He wants my report. Is he using it as an excuse to see me? Liam Davenport, you sly fox. I nearly choked on my wine. Was this woman's train of thought always this? Creative? Dinner ended in a strangely harmonious atmosphere. Eleanor stood up to go to her room. As she passed me, her inner monologue started up again. Should I say good night? Say it. Just say it. It's only one word. No. That's too deliberate. Her steps faltered for a moment, but in the end, she said nothing and went straight upstairs. Watching her slightly hurried retreat, a smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. It was almost 11 by the time I finished my work. I got up, intending to grab a file from my study. As I passed down the second-floor hallway, I saw that Eleanor's door was slightly ajar, a faint sliver of light spilling out. Compelled by something I couldn't name, I stopped. He actually talked to me about work today. Does that mean there's still hope? But a divorce would have a huge impact on both our companies. Maybe he only agreed to a cooling-off period for the sake of the business. No, Eleanor, you can do this. Make him breakfast tomorrow. What should I make? I think he likes a classic American breakfast. But I only know how to make instant oatmeal. Maybe I can look up a recipe? But what if he finds out I'm secretly trying to learn to cook? So embarrassing. I leaned against the wall, listening to the soft, rustling sound from inside, probably her scrolling on her phone. So, the formidable Miss Vance, who ran her company with an iron fist, didn't even know how to cook? I was about to leave when the door suddenly creaked open. Eleanor's head peeked out. The moment she saw me, her eyes went wide, like a startled deer. What is he doing here? Did he hear me talking to myself? Oh no, my image is completely ruined. She yanked her head back and slammed the door shut with a thump, followed by the sound of frantic footsteps. I stood there in the hallway and let out a low chuckle. This Eleanor Vance, it turned out, was far more interesting than I'd ever imagined. The next morning, for the first time in a long while, I didn't have my driver come and decided to have breakfast at home. When I walked into the dining room, Eleanor was already there. In front of her were 2 plates of what looked like very strange pancakes. The moment she saw me, she shot up from her chair, fumbling to clear the plates away. Oh no, why is he up so early? These pancakes look like something you'd feed a pig. He's definitely going to laugh at me. What's this? I asked, walking over and taking the seat across from her. Eleanor's face flushed crimson. And nothing, she stammered. A failed experiment. I'll have Maria make something else. Please go away. Please go away, don't look. I picked up a fork and prodded one of the lumpy, slightly soggy pancakes. Looks good, I said, my face a perfect mask. I took a bite. The taste was actually not bad. A little sweet, with a hint of vanilla. Eleanor stared at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. He actually ate it, and he said it was good. Liam, has your sense of taste completely failed you? I put my fork down and looked at her, at the pink blush creeping up from her neck. I'd like this again tomorrow morning. Her head snapped up, her eyes meeting my faint smile. She quickly looked down again, her voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Okay, he wants more. Does that mean he doesn't hate my cooking? You can do this, Eleanor. You got this. Watching her try to maintain her composure while the corners of her mouth twitched into a smile, I thought this cooling-off period was getting more and more interesting. At the office, my assistant brought in the project assessment report from Vance Corp. I flipped through a few pages. It was expertly done, detailed data, insightful analysis. It was classic Eleanor. But on the last page, in the bottom right corner, there was a tiny ink smudge, as if a pen had slipped. I kept getting distracted while writing this. I wonder if he'll get a stomachache from those pancakes this morning. Eleanor, can you please get a grip? I smiled to myself and sent her a text. Got the report. Nice work. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. A reply from Eleanor. Thank you. Just 2 words. Concise and to the point. He praised me. He actually praised me. Should I send an emoji back? Which one? A smiley face? No, too cold. The blushing one? No, too obvious. I stared at the 2 words on my screen, almost able to see her agonizing over her phone. That day, I found my mind wandering constantly. My thoughts kept returning to Eleanor's icy face and her dramatic, whispered inner voice. When I got home that evening, the scent of something delicious hit me the moment I walked in. Eleanor was in the kitchen, wearing an apron, busy at the stove. The last rays of the sunset streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a soft glow around her. I tried making braised short ribs today. I wonder if he'll like them. Ow, the oil splattered on my hand. That hurts. Sniffle. I walked over and saw a small red mark on the back of her left hand. Why weren't you more careful? I took her hand, my voice softening unconsciously. Eleanor snatched her hand back as if she'd been zapped by static, her cheeks instantly on fire. It's fine. It's just a small burn. He touched my hand. He touched my hand. My heart is beating so fast. Eleanor, calm down, calm down. I went to the living room to get the first aid kit, then came back and gently took her hand again, carefully applying burn cream to the spot. Her skin was soft, her fingertips cool and trembling slightly. He's putting ointment on my burn. He's so gentle. Liam, you big jerk. Why were you so cold to me before? I looked up and met her wide, shimmering eyes, which clearly reflected my own image. Be more careful next time, I said softly. Eleanor looked down, nodding with a quiet hum, her ears so red they looked like they might catch fire. The short ribs that night were incredible. I ate 2 full plates. Eleanor sat across from me, eating in small, delicate bites, a faint smile playing on her lips the entire time. I knew something was quietly changing. That weekend, my grandmother, the Davenport matriarch, called unexpectedly, summoning us for dinner at the family estate. She had never been happy about my marriage to Eleanor, finding her too cold and not the type of woman to properly manage a household. Every dinner, there was a minefield of subtle tensions. On the way to the estate, Eleanor sat in the passenger seat, constantly smoothing out her dress, clearly nervous. Oh God, is Grandma going to criticize me again? Liam, can you please stick up for me later? I reached over and took her hand. It was ice cold and trembling. Don't be nervous. I'm here. Eleanor's head shot up, a flash of surprise in her eyes before she looked down again, her voice barely a whisper. Okay, he's holding my hand. Is he trying to comfort me? This is wonderful. When he's here, I feel like I'm not so scared. As expected, my grandmother didn't even try to be pleasant. At the dinner table, she kept piling food onto my plate, completely ignoring Eleanor. Liam, dear, you're looking so thin lately. Eat more. Don't work yourself to the bone. If it's too much, delegate more to your staff. Eleanor ate her food in silence, not saying a word. Grandma still doesn't like me. Did I do something wrong? My grandmother placed a piece of prime rib on my plate. I immediately cut off the best portion and placed it on Eleanor's. You eat this. Eleanor looked at me, her eyes wide. My grandmother froze, then said with displeasure, Liam, why are you serving her? Doesn't she have her own hands? Grandma, I said, my tone even but firm. Eleanor is my wife. My grandmother was silenced. She didn't say another word on the topic. Eleanor kept her head down, eating the piece of meat in small bites, but her eyes were quietly turning red. He actually stood up for me and gave me his food. Liam, you big jerk. Why are you only starting to be nice to me now? After dinner, my grandmother called me into the study and immediately let me have it. Are you out of your mind? You're defending that ice block of a woman? It's clear she's got you wrapped around her little finger. Grandma, Eleanor isn't what you think. Then what is she? In 2 years of marriage, has she ever smiled at you? Cared for you? It's obvious she only married you for the Vance family's benefit. She didn't, I said, my voice resolute. I thought of her soft inner voice, of her clumsy attempts to make me breakfast, of her trying to hide the pain from small burn. She wasn't cold. She just didn't know how to show her feelings. My grandmother started to say something else, but I cut her off. Grandma, Eleanor and I will handle our own affairs. When I walked out of the study, I saw Eleanor standing in the hallway. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. He's out. Did he get into a fight with Grandma? It's all my fault. I walked over and took her hand. Let's go home. Eleanor looked at me, stunned, then nodded emphatically, letting me lead her out of the estate. She was silent in the car. It wasn't until we were almost home that she said in a small voice, "Thank you. Liam, thank you." I glanced at her. The passing streetlights cast shifting shadows across her face, softening her features. "We're married," I said quietly. Her head snapped up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears that she stubbornly refused to let fall. "Married? Yes, we're married." Her voice was soft, but it tickled my heart like a feather. The days passed, and the relationship between Eleanor and me began to change in ways I hadn't anticipated. We started having breakfast together, watching movies together, drinking wine on the balcony together. She was still a woman of few words, but the ice in her eyes was melting, and sometimes she would offer me a small, shy smile. And me? I was becoming addicted to listening to the little theater in her mind. When I was getting dressed, she would be thinking, "That suit looks so good on him today, it makes his legs look so long." When I was working late, she'd secretly bring me a cup of coffee, thinking, "Finish up soon, I want to go stargazing with him." When I was sick, she'd clumsily try to take care of me, her mind racing in a panic. What do I do? What do I do? He seems really sick. It's all my fault for not taking good care of him. I realized that this ice queen had the softest heart. She had just spent her life protecting it under a shell of frost, hiding all her emotions deep inside. I started looking forward to coming home, to seeing her waiting for me at the dinner table, to hearing those sweet, secret thoughts. I knew then that I was kind of falling in love with this woman of beautiful contradictions. The annual New York Business Gala arrived on schedule. As the heads of Davenport Industries and Vance Corp, Eleanor and I were expected to attend. The event was held at the city's most luxurious five-star hotel, a glittering affair of couture and champagne. Eleanor wore a silver evening gown that made her skin look like snow and accentuated her slender figure. Her hair was swept up, showing off that elegant neck, adorned with the diamond necklace I'd given her. It was a casual gift for our first anniversary. I never imagined she'd wear it so often. "He looks so handsome tonight. So many women are staring at him." Oof. I took her hand as we entered the ballroom, feeling the gazes from all around us. Envy, jealousy, and sheer curiosity. "Are you tired?" I leaned in and murmured close to her ear. Eleanor shook her head, a faint blush on her cheeks. "Not at all. He's so close to me. My heart is beating so fast." We had barely found our footing when people began flocking to us. "Mr. Davenport, Mrs. Vance, you two make such a power couple. Liam, great to see you." That last merger went smoothly. I handled the pleasantries one by one, while Eleanor stood by my side, maintaining a polite smile and adding a quiet word here and there. Just then, a woman in a crimson dress approached us. It was Scarlett Reed, the CEO of a fast-rising tech startup. "Liam, it's been too long," Scarlett purred, her eyes boldly roaming over me. "Ms. Reed," I acknowledged with a curt nod. "And this must be Mrs. Vance. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. You're even more beautiful than the rumors say," Scarlett said, turning to Eleanor, but her tone held a subtle, provocative edge. Eleanor just gave her a slight nod, saying nothing. Who is this woman? She's dressed like a fire engine, and she's staring at Liam. I hate her. I discreetly tightened my grip on Eleanor's hand. I could feel a slight tremor in hers. "Liam, I was wondering if you'd given any more thought to that partnership I proposed," Scarlett asked, completely ignoring Eleanor's presence and fixing her gaze on me, her tone dripping with insinuation. "It's still under review," I replied flatly. "Well, I was wondering if you might have some time to discuss it. In private?" Scarlett's smile widened. "Discuss it in private? Discuss what? Is there something you can't say right here?" "Liam, you're not allowed to go." I felt the pressure in my hand increase. I glanced down at Eleanor. Her face was still a mask of indifference, but her ears were bright red. "I'm sorry, but my wife is waiting for me," I said, declining politely. The smile on Scarlett's face faltered for a second before she recovered. "What a shame. We'll have to schedule something another time, Liam." With a meaningful look at Eleanor, she turned and walked away. "Let's get a drink," I said, leading Eleanor toward the bar. "Oof, that woman is so annoying." "Liam, why did you talk to her for so long? Do you think she's better than me?" I looked at her pouting expression, feeling a mix of amusement and sympathy. "Jealous?" I asked, handing her a glass of champagne. Eleanor took it, sipped, and turned her head away. "No, I'm not jealous. I just think she's obnoxious. She began downing the champagne, her cheeks slowly turning rosy. Slow down, I said, reaching for a glass. I'm not drunk, she insisted, moving the glass away and taking another large gulp. I have to drink. I need the courage to glare at all the women who are staring at you. I watched her helplessly as she finished her third glass. Her tolerance for alcohol was notoriously low. At business dinners, she always substituted with tea. I didn't know what had gotten into her tonight. Come on, let's go home, I said, steadying her by the waist. Her body was already starting to go limp. No, it's not over yet. Eleanor swayed, her eyes growing hazy. I haven't staked my claim yet. I can't leave. Just then, Scarlett reappeared, glass in hand, a sly smile on her face. Liam, you won't mind if I offer a toast, will you? Before I could respond, Eleanor suddenly looked up, her eyes misty with drink, but surprisingly firm. He can't have any more. I'll drink it for him. Without another word, she snatched the glass from my hand and drained it. Trying to get my husband drunk? Not on my watch. Scarlett was momentarily stunned, then laughed. Mrs. Vance, you really can hold your liquor. Eleanor ignored her, grabbed my hand, and started pulling me toward the exit. We're going home. Her steps were unsteady. I quickly wrapped an arm around her, half carrying her out of the ballroom. In the car, Eleanor leaned against my shoulder, her cheeks flushed like ripe apples. Her breath was sweet with champagne as she looked at me with foggy eyes. Liam, she began, her voice impossibly soft. Do you think that Scarlet woman is better than me? She mumbled, her lip trembling as her eyes welled up. Say it, just say it. If you dare say yes, I'll cry all over you. I couldn't help but smile, gently squeezing her cheek. No, you're the best. Eleanor's eyes lit up, then her brow furrowed. Really? Really? Yay. He said I'm the best. She grinned, happy as a child who'd just been given candy, her eyes curving into little crescents. Back at the house, I carried her into the bedroom. Just as I was about to lay her on the bed, she threw her arms around my neck and buried her face in my shoulder. Liam, I love you. Her voice was thick and nasal, laced with a deep vulnerability. I've loved you for so long. Ever since I first saw you at that business reception. But you were always so cold to me. I thought you would never, ever love me back. My heart lurched. I looked down at the woman in my arms. Her eyes were wet and glistening like a lost fawn's. I know, I said, my voice gentle. Eleanor looked up in surprise. You know? Yes, I know. I stroked her hair softly. I love you too, Eleanor. He said he loves me too. He called me Eleanor. Not Mrs. Vance, not Eleanor Vance, just Eleanor. Tears suddenly spilled from her eyes, hot drops falling onto my shirt. You big jerk. She sobbed, weakly pounding my chest. Why did it take you so long to say it? I thought you were going to divorce me. I was so scared. I couldn't sleep for nights. I'm sorry, Eleanor. I'm so sorry. I whispered, holding her tight, my heart aching for her. I knew how much this woman had shouldered. Raised from birth to be the Vance heir, she'd learned business, etiquette, and how to survive in the corporate jungle. She'd learned to protect herself with a shell of ice, to bury every emotion. She loved me, but didn't dare say it, choosing instead to watch from afar, to do small, secret things for me. I thought of her inner voice, of her clumsy breakfasts, of her hiding a painful burn. My heart felt full to bursting. We're not getting divorced, right? Eleanor looked up, her face streaked with tears, looking like a little kitten begging for affection. We're not getting divorced. Right. No divorce, I promised. I lowered my head and gently pressed my lips to hers. Her lips were soft, tasting of champagne and sweetness. She froze for a second, then clumsily began to kiss me back. He's kissing me. He's kissing me. I deepened the kiss, pouring all my regret and all my love into it. We tumbled onto the bed, a tangle of limbs and whispered words. Moonlight filtered through the windows, bathing us in its soft glow. I knew, in that moment, that the story of Liam and Eleanor was only just beginning. The next morning, Eleanor woke up in my arms. A sliver of sunlight peeked through the curtains, illuminating her face. She rubbed her eyes, and when she saw me watching her, her face exploded in a blush, and she dove onto the covers. Oh my God, did I do something totally embarrassing yesterday? I think I confessed to him and hugged him. I laughed, pulling her out from under the blanket. You're awake? Eleanor wouldn't meet my eyes, burying her face in my chest. Was I drunk yesterday? Please say no. Please say you don't remember anything. Yes, very drunk, I teased, and you said a lot of crazy things. Eleanor's body tensed. What? What did I say? She asked nervously. Please don't let it be the confession. So humiliating. I picked up my phone and played a video I'd recorded last night. On the screen, a very drunk Eleanor was clinging to me, sobbing her heart out. Liam, I love you. You can't divorce me. You big jerk. Why do you only like me now? Watching the video, Eleanor's face went from pink to scarlet, a blush that spread all the way to the tips of her ears. She lunged for my phone to delete the evidence, but in her flustered state, she only managed to pause the video. Aya, this is mortifying. Eleanor, how could you be so pathetic? I laughed and pulled her into my arms. I thought it was cute. Eleanor buried her head in my chest again, her voice muffled. It was not cute. He thinks it's cute. Is he making fun of me? It really was, I said, leaning down to kiss her forehead. Eleanor, I love you. This isn't a whim. It's real. Her head shot up, her eyes shimmering with fresh tears. Really? Really? I looked into her eyes, my voice full of sincerity. I was wrong before. I neglected your feelings. That will never happen again. More tears fell, but this time they were tears of joy. She threw herself into my arms, holding on tight. Liam, I love you too. I've loved you for so long. Sunlight streamed into the room, warming our skin. I knew our future would be just like this sunlight, bright and full of warmth. After that day, Eleanor and I said a final goodbye to our cold past, becoming the couple everyone in New York envied. We drove to work together, came home together, went grocery shopping together, and curled up on the sofa to watch movies. She no longer hid her feelings. When I worked late, she'd pout and complain, "You haven't spent any time with me." When I spoke to another woman, she'd give my arm a little pinch, thinking, stay away from her. And when I gave her a gift, she would light up like a child, showering me with kisses. And me? I found I couldn't live without this clingy, adorable woman. I started to slow down at work, making more time for her. I took her to watch the sunrise, to walk on the beach, to see the lavender fields in Provence that she'd always dreamed of. Under a sky full of stars in the French countryside, I got down on one knee and pulled out the ring I'd had made. Eleanor, I know we're already married, but I owe you a proper proposal. Will you marry me? She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face as she nodded vigorously. Yes, I will. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Liam, I love you. I slid the ring onto her finger and pulled her into a tight embrace. The evening breeze carried the scent of lavender and the sweet fragrance of happiness. Not long after, Eleanor discovered she was pregnant. She came running to me one morning, holding a pregnancy test, her hands shaking. Liam, look. The two clear lines on the stick felt like a bolt of joyful lightning. I stared for a few seconds, then swept her up into my arms, spinning us around and around. I'm going to be a dad. Eleanor, I'm going to be a dad. She laughed, tapping my shoulder. Slow down, slow down. Be careful of the baby. A baby. Our baby. From that day on, I became the most negligent CEO in New York. I canceled all non-essential meetings and dinners, coming home on time every single day. I learned to cook nutritious meals for her, to read her stories, to give her foot massages. Watching her belly grow, feeling our baby kick inside her, filled my heart with a happiness I had never known. Eleanor had a rough time with morning sickness, often feeling miserable for hours on end. It killed me to see her in discomfort. You're working so hard, Eleanor, I'd say, holding her and gently rubbing her back. She'd lean against me and shake her head weakly. It's not hard, as long as the baby is healthy. Baby, you have to be good. Don't make your daddy worry. I knew this woman had given so much for me, for our baby. 10 months flew by. The day Eleanor went into labor, I paced the hospital waiting room like a caged animal, my palms sweating. After what felt like an eternity, a nurse emerged carrying a small bundle. Congratulations, Mr. Davenport. It's a healthy boy. Mother and son are both doing well. I looked at the tiny, wrinkled little person, and a wave of emotion washed over me. Excitement, relief, and a profound sense of wonder. This was my child. Our child. I went into the room. Eleanor was lying in bed, pale, but with a look of pure, gentle love in her eyes. I walked over and took her hand. You did it, Eleanor. You were amazing. She gave me a weak smile. Look at him. Isn't he perfect? He looks like you. He has your eyes. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. Yes, he's perfect just like you. A soft blush colored her cheeks as she whispered, Liam, I love you. I looked at her, my heart overflowing with gratitude. Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you for walking into my life, for teaching me how to love and be loved. The road ahead was long, but I knew that as long as she was by my side, every day would be perfect. Time flies. Our son, Cole, is now a year old. The little guy inherited Eleanor's beauty and my wits. He's a clever, charming terror. Every day when I come home from work, the sight of Eleanor holding Cole at the door, waiting for me, melts away all my fatigue. Dada! Cole squeals when he sees me, stretching out his little arms. I lift him up and kiss his chubby cheek. Did you miss Dada? Yes, he answers in his sweet, babbling voice. Eleanor stands beside us, watching her two boys, her face radiating pure happiness. This is so nice. At night, after Cole is asleep, we sit on the balcony, sharing a glass of wine. The moonlight bathes us in its quiet, gentle glow. What are you thinking about? I ask, taking her hand. Eleanor leans her head on my shoulder. I was just thinking, I wish we'd been like this sooner. But this is good too. I lean down and kiss her lips. It's not too late. No, it wasn't too late. As long as we were together, every day was the best time of our lives. I looked at the woman beside me, her eyes sparkling like they held all the stars in the sky. This was the life I wanted. Her, our child, and a warm, loving home. The road ahead is long, and we'll walk it together, seeing all the world's wonders, tasting all its flavors. Because I love her, and she loves me. And that is more than enough.